They say I walk around like I got an S on my chest. What everybody? It's your boy Show here. The number one request I've been getting from viewers lately has been for a breakdown and explanation of the builds that I use for each demon. And lately, there's been some pretenders running around spreading some misinformation in the community about Henrietta, how to play her, what's good builds on her, and so forth. So I figured now would be a great time for the one true king to step up and clear up some of this confusion and give a breakdown of what should be done with her and explanation of effective builds with her. Now, what you see on screen right now is the build I've been using with her. I've developed it over quite a bit of gameplay with her. As you see, I'm level 125. I'm a Henrietta main, over 250 hours in the game, and I've had great success with this build against strong teams, actual strong. So this is the build. I think I'd be doing a disservice by just saying, "Hey, this is the build. Run it. You win," because that would be counterproductive. Just as important as the build is the why behind it, an explanation or breakdown of what it's doing, why you're running what you're running, and the synergy between the two. So let's take a second and go through this. First, with that said, you got to understand some things about Warlord going into it. In my opinion, Warlord's the strongest demon in the game. However, a knock against Warlord is that she's very, very one-dimensional. What do I mean by that? Okay, so first, fear is not a focus. Fear and survivor possession is not a focus of Warlord. You might be able to get it off in game as fear meters go, hey, let me do whatever, but it's not really something you're going to focus on, especially in the build at the build stage. Whereas, let's say Puppeteer, it's a heavy part of his game, or Necromancer, it comes into play a lot more. With Warlord, it's something that, hey, we can take advantage of it, we do it. But if it's not there, we're prepared to win anyway, because she's focused on combat. Killing survivors through units, through combat, that's her focus. That's how you play her. With that said, the next step is the next topic is the boss, Henrietta herself. She's how do I say this? You have to use her in very specific situations, such as the objectives, the dagger, the pages. That's pretty much the best times to use her. Every now and then you can use her throughout the map when you need to lock down a certain area or one or two survivors are down, you need to secure the kill. But for the most part, she shines during the objective defensive stands. She also needs a mob of minions around her. You don't just on her by yourself like a bot, because she's just going to get headshot or teamed up on and go down. And it's hard for her to keep pressure on survivors herself. So you need to use her, one, in specific situations and also with minions around her. So she's somewhat limited. Whereas, let's say, Elagos or Evil Ash, you can spawn in quite a few situations and get value out of them. The second knock against her, or second thing to understand about her, is that her elites are terrible. Her elite troops are the worst elites in the game, but they're the worst units in the game. To be honest, the only use that they have are during the lockdown areas, like like the book dagger and the pages, and even defending the book at the end. Well, trying to destroy the book at the end, or just say defending the dark ones at the end, just to put more bodies on the field to separate survivor focus and make them have to use some type of crowd control. They're more of like an extra unit just to assist in those situations. But outside of that, they're very, very useless. I'm weak. Showstopper. What? Didn't you just say that Warlord's the strongest demon in the game? Yeah. So, but you're saying that she can't use fear. Her elites are terrible. The boss can only be used in a couple situations. So how is she the best? It sounds bad. Well, wait and let me finish what I'm saying. Okay, go ahead. Thank you. Makes Warlord shine is her basic attack unit. Her basic units are the strongest units in the game. Period. They're stronger than Warlord. They're stronger than Puppeteer or Evil Necromancer's basic or elite units. They're just point blank the strongest units in the game. And accordingly, you should be speccing around. Because that's how you're going to be winning games of Warlord. Okay, so with that said, let's get into the build. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time going over some little things because there's 7 core perks that make the magic happen, and I'm going to spend more time discussing them. So when we look at level 1, you have to spend a certain amount of points in each level to be able to unlock the next level. So at some points, we just have to put filler points on, such as here. These 2, hemophobia, whatever, who cares? Speeding, train, whatever, who cares? You put 1 point in each of these. 2 gross out to run, very important. This allows that the puke, when you puke on a survivor with one of her basic units, that they can't sprint for 5 seconds, very important. 2 gross out to dodge, similar to 2 gross out to run. When you puke on a survivor, they can't dodge for 5 seconds. Okay, we're gonna put 1 point in all of these. Down here, head start, whatever, we throw 2 points into that. Moving on. In the second column, we're gonna put 3 points into projectile vomit. We're also gonna put 3 points into acid reflux. These 4 perks combined make up basically the functionality of the puke on her troops. If you're going to play Warlord, you have to understand and get into your head. The puke is a core aspect of her unit's base kit. You have to be using the puke often and effectively if you plan on winning the Warlord. This is key. Okay? Next, moving on. Test of time, very helpful perk. Level this up with 2 points. This is going to increase the time for the survivor to clear objectives by 20%. Fear factor, I don't really care about this too much, but we have to put a point in this in order to get the next couple of perks. So we put 1 point into this. And that sums up the second column. Moving on to the third column. 1 point into Granny Hug. Not the most important thing, but we're going to need this in order to unlock for the next row. Rock Steady Boss. Put 3 perk slots into this. This is going to increase Henrietta's balance bar herself so she doesn't get stunned so easily. That's important. Self-explanatory why. Not going to get into that. Portal Authority Basic. 2 points into this. This is going to reduce the infernal energy you need to open up a basic portal by 15%. Infernal Refill. Not that important. Put 1 point into this. We just need it to progress on the bar. Okay. How do I do this? Let's take a second and let me explain why, briefly, we're not putting points into a few other things. So there's certain things on these webs that's noob traps. Noob traps. N-O-O-B. Noob traps. If you're a bot, yeah, you might put points into them. But if you're trying to be an effective killer, do not waste the points. And when we're making our build, you have to think of the concept of value. How much value are we getting out of something? You might look at something and say, hey, this is cool. I want to get it. But maybe a point is used more efficiently somewhere else. So when I look at the first 2 rows, this is a waste of points. If you're thinking about putting points in any of these things, you're wasting points, you're throwing it away. I'll explain why, real briefly. High blood pressure, increased range of blood splatter, no one cares. We're not using elites that much. This is a waste of a point, or 2, or 3, or however many putting into it is a waste. Increases, there's no be quick comeback. This would be nice to have. However, remember, we're looking at value. We're going to get a lot more value out of putting our points somewhere else other than this. Health Raiser Elite, maximum health of elite units, noob trap. It doesn't matter what health you put into these things, they're gonna die. Survivors are gonna headshot them, kill them. They're slow, they're stupid, they're whatever. This is a waste of points. Easy access, probably the biggest noob trap on her Blood Web. Oh, Blood Web, wow, play too much DVD. This is probably one of the biggest noob trap. I'll explain briefly why. When we look at this, it reduces the amount of infernal energy required to possess any evil unit. At level 3, which takes 3 points, plus we would have to put points to get up here, it reduces it by 20%. Sounds good, but when you do math and you think about it, it takes 20 infernal energy to possess one of her basic units. 20. If we're reducing that by 20%, what are you saving? 4 infernal energy? You're going to put 3 points into this to save 4 infernal energy? Plus the points it took to get. If you're a bot, yeah, you level this up. If you're a thinking player, this is a waste of points. Moving on. Coagulation, terrible. Lingering gas would be nice to have, but we're going to get more use out of the point somewhere else. Rocksteady elite. The bounce bar is not going to matter on elites. Potent gas would be nice to have, but it's a waste of points. Okay. Avoid these 2 rows. Waste of points. Also down here, actually, let's just get back to the build. I don't want to waste too much time talking about what we shouldn't be doing. Let's focus on what we should be doing. Okay, where was I? Spoke about these. Balance bar, spoke about that. I'm going to skip this because I'm going to come back to this in a second. Hellraiser boss, put 1 point into this. Do not put 3 points into this, and do not skimp out on it. Why 1 point? Okay. 1 point gives us 20% more health. That is important. The way a lot of survivors are playing, you might have a Kelly, Amanda, Ed on your team, and they're going to try to kill her with 1 or 2 headshots, and she's done. With 20% more health, is going to help her survive a couple of those shots, a couple of stun shots, and be able to do the damage she needs to do. Increasing her health to 35% is actually a negative and going to hurt you. Showstopper, that sounds crazy. Why would I want my boss to have more health? Because if you have more health with her, you're going to be wasting a lot of time. Henrietta shines when troops are around her. Once her troops are dead, more often than not, she's going to be wearing out her welcome. And if you're in her, just flying around, floating around, oh, come here, suck on my titty, come here. The survivor's going to be dodging around you, shooting you, and you're wasting time. You don't really want to outlive your troops too much with her. If your troops are dead and you've been using her properly, you probably did enough damage, you wouldn't mind her dying, and you want to spawn more troops and keep the pressure going. When she outlives her troops, you're going to start to find out that you're losing some of the pressure you have on the survivors because she just can't put the pressure up herself. So, and you don't want to despawn her because then it's a waste. So putting her at 3 points in max health might actually hurt you. 1 point for 20% more health, that's the sweet spot. Okay, looking down here, internal revenue, 3 points into this. This will increase the amount of energy we get from infernal orbs by 20%. That's huge. Okay, if you have been sleeping up until this point, wake up! Wake up! This is the important part. Everybody's listening? This is the important part. If you want to win as Henrietta, it's all going to come against good teams. If you're playing bots, you don't even need perks. I've been playing a perkless during the day against bots because it's easy to beat stay-at-home moms and small children. But when you play prime time against good survivors, when it's fully coordinated teams, you have to come correct with your builds. This is the key part of her. This is the heart of the order, okay? It comes down to 7 perks. Now, first I'm gonna take a second and talk about bad influence. Wake up, turn on your brains right now, open up your eyes. This is important. Her ability is bad influence, really bad influence, really bad influence 3, whatever. Let's look at what this does. Enhances the effects of bad influence, further improving surrounding units' health, damage ability, attack frequency, as well as increase in range of aura. Okay, whatever. At level 3, let's look at this on the bottom. Damage plus 10%, max health 10%, attack frequency 10%. We're going to get back to attack frequency. We're going to put that in the back of our minds right now. This is important. We're going to talk about that later. But basically, these 3 categories are increased by 10, all 3 of them. They're increased by 10 also. So 10 plus 10 is 20. Up here, we have the base at 35, 35, 20. So we're going to add 20 all these. Okay, 55% on damage, 35% on max health. So 55% damage, 55% max health, 40% attack frequency. Okay? The math in this game is weird. Sometimes it's additive, sometimes it's multiplication. I'm not going to get into that. I don't want to make an hour-long video. 55% damage, 55% health, and attack frequency at 40%. Also, at level 3, units can't suffer balance damage. Really bad influence 3 is the base, core, important thing that's going to make Henrietta and her troops the unstoppable force that they are. Because of this, it is essential that we are going to put 3 points into Relentless Evil. I couldn't think of a name I couldn't think of a perk that was named more appropriately. Relentless Evil. So relentless. When we put that at the cooldown reduction of 30%, Showstopper, well, what's her base cooldown? Glad you asked. It's 30 seconds. So at base, this has a 30-second cooldown. When we add the 30% reduction, that's going to bring you down to, that's 9 seconds off. I think 10% of 30 is 3 seconds. We're going 30% off. So that's going to reduce it by 9 seconds to 21 seconds. 21 seconds, whatever. You can say 20 just to make numbers round and simple. Basically 20 seconds, 21 seconds. Every 20 seconds, we're getting this back. What does that mean? That means with this cooldown, we are going to essentially, for the most part, be able to put bad influence on every round of troops we put out. What we just discussed here, these buffs are going to be on all of the troops we put out. If you do not use this, then one of two things are going to happen. One, you're going to be putting out weaker troops that don't have the buff. Or two, you're going to be waiting for the cooldown and losing pressure. You might think in your mind, oh, it's only 9 seconds. That 9 seconds with spawning troops are the difference in games. Put 3 points into this. Okay. Good survivor teams attack balance bar. Right now, that's the stun meta is the prevailing meta in the game. You're going to have teams come in trying to break balance bar to get you stunned and destroy you. We're going to run Rocksteady on her basic attack, on her basic units. We're going to put 3 points into this to get this at 35%. Okay? And we're going to have our troops now with bad influence. Also, remember, bad influence has the can't suffer balance damage. However, I think this might be bugged a little because sometimes this does not work. That aspect. It works sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't work. But I digress on that. We're going to put Rocksteady balance on her basic troops. 3 points. Health Razor Basic. Increases the maximum health of basic units by 35%. If I didn't explain this already, the way you're playing her is you're spawning basic troops, you're dropping really bad influence on them with Relentless Evil, and then you're taking possession of them. That is how you're playing Henrietta. We're also going to put Health Razor. Listen to me, because you're about to see some insane synergy here. We're going to put Health Razor Basic, 3 points, which increases her health, their maximum health by 35%. Think about this. Not only this is 35%, we also have the 55% from the really bad influence. We got 55% over here, and we got the 35% over here. What is that telling you? Her troops are going to have a lot of health. A lot of health. When you have really bad influence on them. Remember a minute ago when I said that her basic troops are the strongest troops in the game, strongest units in the game. You're going to be taking possession of them. Pop quiz time. How do you lose a possessed basic unit? There's two essential ways that you lose a possessed basic unit. Yes, there's somebody in chat saying, well, if I have the support Ash, I could depossess them. Yes, that's one way you can lose them. But, I mean, not every team has him. And there's a way to combat him, and I'll discuss that later. But the two essential ways you lose a possessed basic unit is how? They run out of health and die, or you run out of infernal energy. Core of playing Henrietta is going to be dropping really bad influence on her basic units, and then you taking possession of them. There's two ways you lose possessed basic unit. They run out of health, or you run out of infernal energy. Understand that. Okay, now what are we going to do? With this, health is increased 55%. With this, it's increased another 35%, which means we're going to have a ton of health. So we're going to combat that. We're going to combat the first way of us by us losing health by giving them a ton of health. More on this later. But, okay, so our troops are going to have a lot of health. It's going to be hard to destroy them. Great. But Showstopper, you said there's two ways. What about the other way where we lose infernal energy? Now's where we get into the next part. We're going to put 3 points into possession extension and 2 points into great capacity for evil. Great capacity of evil is going to increase our energy tank by 25%. That means we're going to have 25% more infernal energy than normal, increases it by a fourth. That's a lot of energy. With possession extension, when you possess a unit, you see your infernal energy constantly going down because you're burning it by possessing them. With this, it's going to reduce that cost by 20%. So with these two perks combined, we're going to have a much bigger tank, and we're going to consume 20% less infernal energy, which means we're going to be able to stay in our units a lot longer. This, putting 3 points into this, is a waste. You're saving, what did I say, 4 orbs? 4 infernal energy by possessing them, but in the course of possessing, whereas you put 3 points into this, while you're possessing them, you're not burning that much energy. Bigger tank, reduced cost. 2 ways we lose a possessed unit. We run out of health, or we run out of energy. Okay, let's move on. And we combated both those ways with these 2 perks. But wait, there's more. I'll get back to this in a second. It's about to get crazy. It's about to get crazy right now, okay? If you're still listening, you're going to be rewarded. Heavy damage basic attack. Heavy damage basic. This increases damage dealt by basic units by 35%. Remember over here, with really bad influence, we're getting 55% more damage on our attacks. And since we have the reduced cooldown, we're going to be able to constantly put that on our troops. This adds 55% more damage. This adds an additional 35% more damage. What does that mean? We're wrecking house. Our hits are doing a lot of damage. Now, here's where it gets crazy. Pain Parasite. With Pain Parasite, evil units, not just possessed units, it applies to possessed units, but all evil units, anybody who you spawn, they gain health from damage they deal by melee attacks. 10% of the damage they deal, they get back as health. If you've been paying attention, and you remember, with really bad influence, we're adding 55% more damage, and with heavy damage, we're adding 35% more damage. So these attacks deal a great amount of damage, and with each of these attacks, we're getting 10% of that damage back to us. So if anyone who watches the stream, watch me when I play, I'm possessing a unit, the one unit I'm possessing, I'm using to down, I win all, with this, you're winning your 1v1 against a hero, against a survivor. You're walking, you see random Ash or anybody walking, and you get into that 1v1, you're wrecking them. Because as you're hitting them, they're losing damage. As they're hitting you, you're losing damage. The difference is when you're hitting them, you're also getting health back. They're not getting health back. Oftentimes, I'm in a fight with a survivor. After I down them, I'm full health because I'm getting health back. Remember earlier when I said to keep something in the back of your minds, we're going to come back to it? Now we're going back to it. Attack frequency. With this, our attack frequency is increased by 40%. What does that mean? That means we're attacking more frequent. We're not just throwing single combos. Our troops aren't just throwing single combos. Single shots, they're throwing combos. They're coming in. They're ready for war. 40% increased attack frequency. The attacks are doing a great amount of damage, and we're getting health back from it. Our units are fucking units. They're ready for war. You see how all of these perks work together to create an incredible force? That's how you make a build in this game. You don't just look at something and say, oh, this looks nice, let's put this on. Oh, this looks like it's helpful, let's put this on. You're looking and you're coming up with a build that has synergy, that everything works together. What I'm giving you right now, this build is effectively called, you ready? Drum roll. This is called the Showstopper. I dubbed you the Showstopper. That is the name of this build for Henrietta. And I feel strongly this is the best build for her. You start running this with the strategies and tactics that I outlined during this video, and also that I discuss constantly during stream. I can assure you, you're gonna have a lot of success in your games. Am I forgetting anything before I get this? Oh, well, also remember, there's 3 pillars to winning gameplay as Demon. The first pillar is the build. I've given you the build. The second pillar is the gameplay that accommodates that build. With this gameplay, we're going to be using possessed basic units with really bad influence on. The possessed units are extremely hard to kill. Why? 2 ways to kill them. They run out of health, or you run out of infernal energy. We've attacked the infernal energy by giving ourselves a bigger tank and reducing the cost. Health, we have a very big health tank. We deal a great amount of damage, and we're getting 10% of the damage we deal back as health. This is why if you watch my gameplay, it seems like the unit that I'm controlling never dies. And I'm running around 1v1ing and killing each survivor individually. It's because of this. Yeah, so we got the build, we have the gameplay. Third part is the leveling up process inside of the game. Those are the 3 pillars to winning as killer. Build, gameplay to work with the build, and the leveling up process. Given this strategy, given everything we discussed, when you're leveling up, you want to have a focus on Portal Basic, and you want to have a focus on maybe Possession or Infernal Energy. It depends on the team comp you're up against. Why do I say team comp? For example, if they have a Hunter Ash, you might want to work on your Infernal Energy a lot, because Hunter Ash is one of the strongest counters to this playstyle I just explained, because he's going to be forcing you out of your possessed units, and it's expensive to jump in another unit. So if you're leveling up your Infernal Energy, you'll have the Infernal Energy to jump into another unit after he knocks you out. Also, I discussed that there's noob traps on this perk wheel. Another noob trap is heavy damage elite. Do not waste points on this. Your elite units are going to go down. They're slow. They're not going to do much damage because survivors are going to be dodging them. You don't want to possess them because you're wasting a lot of time. You put points into this, you're wasting points. Another one, Gates of Hell Basic, which reduces the cooldown period between placing basic units. This is a noob trap. Why? If you look at the build I discussed and how we're playing, our units are not going down instantly. They're not going down fast. This only saves you a couple seconds, like 3 or 4 seconds. Your units are going to stay up. Your problem's not going to be, oh man, I need spawn units, I can't. Your units aren't going to be dying like paper thin death. This is a waste of points. Gates of Hell Elite, this is a waste of points. We're not even using elites that big. And Gates of Hell Boss, this is a waste of points because we're only using Henrietta in certain situations and she'll be ready when we use it. Okay? So this is the build I used, and I explained why and basically everything I could. Hey, if you like this video, if you found it helpful, don't forget to hit that like button. If you want more helpful, great videos like this, hit the subscribe, hit the bell, hit the drums, turn notifications, all that sweet stuff. And if you want to see amazing gameplay and see this build in play, please feel free to join me on my live streams where I'm here on YouTube every day. All right. Hope everyone enjoyed this. Hope it's helpful. Good luck in your games. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And I look to see y'all later. Until then, it's your boy Show, and I'm out of here. Peace.